All Hinduism, divorce rate, 1%. The reason why Westerners suck at marriage, namely women, is because they're basing the backbone of their relationships on feelings. Yeah. And feelings are a fleeting thing. Yeah. Feelings do not stay. It's changing and it's coming and going. And if you're a person who lives your life based upon your feelings only, right, you're going to have an awful life.
The truth is that far more people get married each year than get divorced. These divorce statistics show what happens to marriages that end, and when and how couples decide to end them. What about the famous statistic that half of all marriages end in divorce? That's true. But only when it comes to first marriages, half of which are dissolved. Second and third marriages fail at a far higher rate.
And another thing, like when you say, like, what are you looking for? Like relationships and marriage, it's not about happiness. It's about duty. And so when a guy hears, and I'm just telling you, this is just from guys' point of view. Like when they hear, like, what do you want out of a relationship? And they say happiness, that's a red flag because your happiness can come and go. And it's like, if you're not happy tomorrow, are you going to leave? And the number one thing that men look for is loyalty.
Agreed.
And so if you're not, like, to that says to a guy, like, I'll leave if I'm not happy. And that with all the risk that men have to take today in order to get married, it's like, you know, we're asking them to do this, but we give them red flags along the way.
An average woman wants a tall, handsome, wealthy, and attractive man. However, she typically fails to work on and improve her inner beauty, her personality, and character. In the end, what is on the inside ultimately manifests on the outside, and 99% of the time, this results in an entitled and ungrateful person who is self-centered and demands that the man grant her every wish for the rest of his life. She expects the man to serve her like a queen would expect from the peasants. What for? Guys are not simping anymore, and that's what bothers women.
Is there anyone out there in TikTok land that can tell me what you're supposed to do with your life when you've been in a relationship for 20 plus years with the same person? You have children, you have, you know, built a life to stay.
Happiness can come and go.
Stay, that's what they're going to say, stay.
And then all of a sudden that life is no longer.
Why? Tell me why. Why is it no longer? Who filed?
What's supposed to do with your life?
If I'm not happy.
I work. I'm a registered nurse. I have a career, I guess.
I have nurses. We've been telling you guys about the nurses.
An average woman wants a tall, handsome, wealthy, and attractive man. However, she typically fails to work on and improve her inner beauty, her personality, and character. In the end, what is on the inside ultimately manifests on the outside, and 99% of the time, this results in an entitled and ungrateful person who is self-centered and demands that the man grant her every wish for the rest of his life. She expects the man to serve her like a queen would expect from the peasants. What for? Guys are not simping anymore, and that's what bothers women.
These women are different. This is not like they're deluding themselves into thinking like, oh, let me just not care. Let me just go out and have sex. Feminism told me to do X, Y. This is the next level of that. They're different. They have changed. You can't put the cat back in the bag, you know? You can't bring them back to be traditional. They no longer associate sex with emotion. They no longer have enough connection to their womanhood to even register that what they're doing is completely toxic and disgusting. This is a different breed of woman.
Interestingly, feminism has strangled women while freeing men. Why? Women are disproportionately represented in undervalued occupations, are familiar with the harsh realities of the job market, and, most importantly, find it dreadful to think of growing old.
Worse, and then complaining that they're not getting enough of the man's money. And you're like looking at her like, you dingbat. First of all, nobody wants you out here on the dating market. I hate to break it to you. Like, what? Like, you FOMO'd at 50 and you got kids, like, don't nobody want you. And on the other side, it's like, you would have had more money if you stayed with him. Okay? If you file for divorce and you don't get a payout, the only people that are going to be advocating for you and being like, no, you need to take him, sis. Get him for everything. Like, those are some toxic women. Like, probably narcissistic women.
Social conditioning is incredibly harmful and potent. Modern women who fall for it will go to any lengths to protect the beliefs they hold dear. In actuality, they simply combine it with the information they've received from institutions, significant figures, and multinational corporations with little regard for the pleasure of women. They're conditioned for instant gratification. They want instant happiness, wealth, fame, luxury, and comfort. They want perfection in men while they hardly bring anything to the table except perhaps their physical selves.
In the Western world, when it comes to marriage, when it comes to divorce, it's just the family court system is stacked against men. Men fare really bad in divorce, so I don't see the benefit. I could be with one girl long term, maybe even my whole life. I don't need the government involved. Divorce is just not good.
That's like a lifelong talking stage.
How's that?
You don't want to get married because you don't want to get divorced. Why not just like work towards a really good marriage? You don't have to get divorced.
But here's the thing, Farah. How many people get married thinking that this is the person I love to death? I could never see us breaking up, never see us getting divorced. 1 year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, the divorce comes. 50% of marriages end in divorce.
I don't think those odds are too bad.
50%'s pretty bad.
You wouldn't flip a coin for the love of your life?
If I was in an airplane and I was skydiving and there was a 50% chance that the parachute doesn't work, I'm not taking that bet.
When marriages end, usually some time has passed since the wedding. The marriage before divorce is 8 years. So, divorces take time. Contested divorces usually take over a year to finalize, although simple ones can be completed in as little as 3 months. Divorce comes at a big cost, with couples spending an average of $7,000 to dissolve their union. Divorce don't give you the institution of marriage, though a total of 64% of men and fear the women get married again after their marriage has ended. Additionally, women learn early that they have something men want, and they learn to manipulate men to take advantage of it. It is predatory, not more mature. Men could be just as predatory as women, but the law and social mores clamp down heavily on men's natural tendencies. If not for misandrous teachers punishing suppressing boys' natural talents, young boys would not appear so slow to maturity in antiquity. 8-year-old men wrote symphonies, built war machines, and conquered nations. Flips.
What kind of world do we live in where a normal, regular girl cannot find just a regular guy out here to date? Because these guys don't want a real woman. They want a fantasy. They want to live in this fake fantasy world. They would rather jack off to some screen, to some robot, rather than actually deal with a real human being and what comes with that. You know why? Because it's easier.
And another thing, like when you say like what are you looking for, like relationships and marriage, it's not about happiness, it's about duty. And so when a guy hears, and I'm just telling you, this is just from guys' point of view, like when they hear like what do you want out of a relationship and they say happiness, that's a red flag, because your happiness can come and go. And it's like, if you're not happy tomorrow, you're gonna leave. And the number one thing that men look for is loyalty.
Agreed.
And so if you're not like to that says to a guy like, I'll leave if I'm not happy. And that with all the risk that men have to take today in order to get married, it's like, you know, we're asking them to do this, but we give them red flags along the way.
The only way a relationship works is for both people to be unselfish. When one person is seeking what they can get out of the relationship financially, socially, and emotionally, and is not willing to give anything, they are selfish and do not know what love is. Staying in a relationship with a selfish person is fatiguing and will eventually lead to frustration and the end of the relationship.
I have been so hesitant to post about this for 2 reasons. Number one, I don't like negativity and I don't want to be like the bearer of bad news. Number 2, I didn't want to believe it. But after doing so much research and getting a lot of messages, I'm going to just deliver the unvarnished truth to you guys. I'm just going to lay it out straight. We're in a dating crisis. Not basically, we are. That's what's happening. So let me look at my research here, because I don't want to mess it up. So men looking for casual dates and our relationships is down 50%, 50, since 2019. Not since 1970, since 2019, right before the pandemic, down 50%. They're not fucking looking, which means if you're a woman looking, they don't fucking give a shit. So as this trend continues, by 2040, 45% of women, 45% of women between the ages of 20 and 45 will be single and childless based on this trend. Let that sink in for a moment. I'm going to talk a lot more about this. So if you're interested in this topic, hit the follow button because I've got a lot more of information, a lot more to share with you guys.
I don't want people being stuck single. Women are the most depressed demographic in America right now is 45 and over single women. So I don't want a bunch of women to end up 45 plus single and fucking wondering why. Why am I 45 plus single? You know, I've been happy this whole time. I've been going on these vacations and having sex with all these guys. Why the fuck did I lose? I did everything right. I did what feminism and what all my girlfriends told me to do, and I'm sad now. So I like to do this show because I want to show y'all there is a whole other side of things. Feminism does lie to you. Your homegirls are lying to you to try to keep you single because misery loves company. Like I just want y'all to know the truth and what men really want.
Women are just raised to be selfish, thinking they deserve to have everything they can dream of. Many young women today are woke feminists who think they do not need a man. Then when they are getting to their middle 30s, they get desperate and then angry that no man wants even to date them. No matter where you are, and no matter what age group you belong to, always know that it's not necessary that once you're married happily, it's going to stay like that forever. Women need constant validation, which I believe is just a cop-out for not being content with who they are at certain points in their lives and not truly being in control of their own emotions. Did you know that women leave men 80% of the time? If they're college educated, it's 90%. And one of the #1 predictors of divorce is if the woman out-earns the man. This is the reality, guys. For men, a divorce can mean the end of their lives, their hard-earned income, and their dignity. For women, it's just another way to tell the world how independent they are, and now how cash-rich they've become, probably securing an extra income for the rest of their lives. Divorce can have surprising and long-lasting consequences. One of those consequences is an increased risk of early death. Sadly, the mortality rate is 1,363 per 100,000 for divorcees, compared with 779 per 100,000 for married couples. Divorced men bear the brunt of this increased risk, with mortality rates of 1,772 per 100,000, compared to divorced women with mortality rates of 1,095 per 100,000. Decisions about the family home are some of the most contentious when a marriage ends and a property settlement is determined. This is a common issue that must be resolved, as 53.4% of people divorced in 2022 owned their own homes. Just 46.6% were renters. It's important to note that as marriage goes, so goes the nation. Strong families are the foundation of any society. Hedonism always takes its toll. Women do not mature faster than men. They excel at social dynamics, and social dynamics are heavily rewarded through middle and high school, whereas nothing men excel at is rewarded. As I said, no matter where you are, and no matter what age group you belong to, always know that it's not necessary that once you're married happily, it's going to stay like that forever. Women need constant validation, which I personally believe is just a cop-out for not being content with who they are at certain points in their lives, and not truly being in control of their own emotions. It feels like society has forgotten the seriousness of marriage, and well, the seriousness of divorce. Women break off partnerships thanks to no-fault divorce and end up living poor, which automatically translates into a sorry upbringing for their children, who then take out their anger on society. It's like a domino effect that doesn't stop. Life changes when the reality of your decisions and their consequences dawns upon you. Just look at these single mothers. I can guarantee that 100% of these would have initiated their divorces over the littlest of issues with their men. And research does say that 70% of divorces are initiated by women. A woman who has 4 kids initiates a divorce? Does she have an idea of what's in store for her after that life-altering decision? I mean, a woman who has 4 children will be 1,000% better off compromising on some issues with her partner, rather than being divorced. Because after marriage, it's more important to make decisions that benefit your children than the ones that benefit your ego. And I guess that's the main learning lesson for modern women. Thanks for watching The Circle of Kings. As always, we're looking forward to your support. So please hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated with everything all kings like yourself need to know.